Welcome to Toy Business Unboxed, your gateway to the secrets of the toy industry. Here, Hsieh, a toy entrepreneur and expert in the field.
Every product we develop is really inspired by some of the real life experience that we have with our son.
60% of all toys last year were sold on Amazon, which is incredible.
Be passionate about it because it's a road, it's a journey.
Like when you have an idea that you think is like gonna somewhat like change the world, make things better, I'd say go for it.
We'll guide you through the enchanting world of toy design, marketing, and manufacturing. Now let the unboxing begin.
Welcome back to another episode of Toy Business Unboxed. In today's episode, we have Michael, one of the co-founders for Tone Deaf Bards, which is known for their motto for games for anyone. And their studio has already releasing 3 very unique titles and have a lot of more on the work as far as in development. And in this episode, we'll talk about the background behind the company, how they turn the idea into a playbook games, and the journey so far within the toys and game industry. Thank you so much for joining us on the podcast today, Michael.
Hey, thank you, Jason. It's great to be here.
Yeah, so first of all, can you kind of share the story behind the brand and what inspired you to start your own publishing company?
Yeah, so a few years ago, 2018, 2019, somewhere in there, a friend of mine actually, who I worked with, his name's Tom. He's my business partner, and Tom and I worked together at the same company. And Tom approached me about this concept of board gaming, and he's just about to become a dad, really was wanting to, be able to play cool board games with his children, and had asked me, who is, is a father of 2 already, what does that look like and how much fun it was. And it turns out that he was really nervous about playing really boring games. That's really what this whole thing started with. He's like, I don't want my kids to play Monopoly or Parcheesi. Like, I want them to be able to go to grandma's house or whatever and play a cool game. And and I agreed. I said, there are some games out there that are a ton of fun, right? And then there are some games out there that they're not as fun. And so, Tom basically challenged me a little bit. He goes, I'll bet you and I could probably make a game that's better than 3/4 of what's out there. I said, you're probably right. And the ball was rolling. And from that moment on, that became our project together.
What was the first game that you two start working on?
Yeah, the first game was Unsung Heroes. It's this yellow box right here behind me. And Unsung Heroes was a journey because when we started, we weren't Tone Deaf Bards, right? It was just Mike and Tom, and that was it. And eventually, Tom's wife, Paulina, jumped in with us. So there's really 3 of us. When I say my business partners, I'm referring to them. Sometimes I'll refer to Tom, but Paulina is an integral part of things, but likes to stay in the background. So
yeah,
oftentimes she doesn't get brought up in conversation when I go, Mike and Tom have this business. It's really Mike, Tom, and Paulina.
Yeah.
But for simplicity's sake, we just say it's Mike and Tom because, again, she prefers to stay in the background. But Unsung Heroes was, we didn't have Tone Deaf Bards. It was just the 3 of us. And so there was a lot of, not only were we trying to develop a game, but we were trying to understand the components of an LLC, how that works, how a partnership agreement works. We were in the middle of COVID, so things moved really slowly. There were some other things going on that really hampered our progress. So Unsung Heroes was released in 2021. And so it took almost 3 full years for it to go from concept to completion. But it also, we learned a ton, and we were also developing the LLC while we were doing that. So, but yeah, it was a process, and there was a lot to learn, and we were doing it in the middle of COVID. So
I see. And for this first game, did you also did a Kickstarter campaign? Can you kind of walk us through your journey when you're launching your first game?
Yeah, so the first game, we didn't know any better. I mean, we actually self-funded. We self-funded the first game, but the other 2 games we did Kickstart. And so for Kickstarter, again, it's a different animal, and it's the first time you do it, man, you learn a lot of lessons. And we've noticed a few things about Kickstarter as well. So for example, Kickstarter will take a percentage of whatever it is that you make, right? So if you say, hey, I need $5,000 for this game, right?
Yeah.
What you really need is about $6,000. By the time they take what they need, and then you're going to have a little extra to do whatever you need to do with, you really need a lot more than you think you need initially. And so that was one thing that we noticed about Kickstarter that we kind of learned the hard way. We got lucky with Unsung Heroes 2, which is in that pink box there. We went from 0 followers, not even backers, just followers. We had no followers to fully funded in 3.5 days. Now, that was a wildfire, word of mouth style. Everyone just kind of jumped in for us, and we got lucky. And what we realized is that when you do a Kickstarter might last 30 days, but for you, it probably lasts 180. because you want to set up your Kickstart page to be fully ready and get followers and build followers so that when you say go, everyone jumps in. Because the odds of your Kickstarter succeeding drop drastically if you're not fully funded in the first 48 hours.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think with all the competition nowadays, it's also very important to get everything prepared. I think most people, if you want to have a successful launch, just like you say, it's more than just getting the page ready, but also have like people lining up ready to back the campaign before the campaign go live. So that's a lot of marketing that you need to be doing before.
A ton of marketing and a lot of networking too. One of the things we were able to do is go to like conventions and things and talk to other manufacturers or designers who were kickstarting, and we would say, hey, we'll back you if you back us, right? We'll help promote your game if you help promote our game.
Yeah.
So we started working with other game developers to try and build that following for when that game launched. Yeah.
That's a smart way to do it. And for those of the listeners that haven't played with your game, can you kind of also explain how does Unsung Hero work, like the mechanic and the rule of the games?
Yep. Yeah. So we built Unsung Heroes as a kind of, I don't want to say it's an introductory game, but it's very lighthearted, right? So it's 2 to 4 players, and the concept is very simple. You get to pick a character. So this is Wanda here, and that's kind of our wizard. And then you get a deck of cards for Wanda. They'll have her color and her icon on the back. And when you play cards from your hand, you get to play a card from your hand each turn. It will give you like a score. So like this is +4, right? Big stick for +4 points. You can also roll dice. So we have like a 4-sided die. All the 4-sided dice are blue. It's that little triangle there. And you get to add that to your score. And so at the end of each round, you will have played a few cards. You'll have a score. You can sometimes affect your opponent's score or try to alter your score by like re-rolling dice. And then the high score wins the round. And after you do that 4 times, and then you'll basically be defeating minions of the bad guy, right? And then you will get power-ups and treasures along the way that you can then use in the final round against the boss. And whoever has the high score in the 5th round wins. So you cannot do well the first few rounds and still come back and win the last round and still win the game.
I see. How many players usually you recommend?
It's 2 to 4. It's 2 to 4. We had one of the expansions or the Kickstarter like bonus things tiers was to expand Unsung Heroes from 4 to have 5 to 8 player options as well. We didn't quite get to that in our Kickstarter.
I see.
Option is a possible future project for us, but we haven't explored it yet. So we're still 2 to 4.
I see. And you say you have Unsung Hero 1 and 2. So 2 is an expansion, I assume, or is it a totally different game?
Yeah, so good question. Unsung Heroes 2 initially was an expansion. We had designed the first box to contain more than what was in there, and you would have been able to fit all of Unsung Heroes 2 into Unsung Heroes 1.
Okay.
But during the Kickstarter, we did hit a stretch goal that allowed us to make Unsung Heroes 2 a standalone game. So Unsung Heroes 2 is a standalone game. You don't need Unsung Heroes 1. You can play Unsung Heroes 2 by itself.
Yeah.
But when we designed it, it still works backwards with Unsung Heroes 1. So you can mix and match Unsung Heroes 1 and 2. It still all works together.
I see. Okay. Interesting. Yeah. I know you also have developed a couple other games over the years as well. Can you also kind of just talk briefly about all the other games that you have published so far?
For sure. So the other game that we have is called Hexed. It's in this blue box behind me over here. Hex is a 2-player abstract strategy game. Uses domino-style pieces. It has kind of a, I'm going to say a Chinese checkers vibe where you're trying to get one of your pieces to the other side, but it uses, elements and runes and has different secondary effects that can help manipulate the board to help you further your goals. It takes about 40-45 minutes. Your pieces are basically these either yellow or purple, almost like numberless dice.
Okay.
And they walk around on these tiles, and the tiles themselves are hexagonal dominoes.
Okay.
So here's what I mean by hexagonal dominoes.
Okay.
And so then each side of the hexagonal domino has a rune on it, and your piece sits on that tile. So the tile will lay flat and your piece is on it. If you get 3 of one element in a row, you can activate that and get some sort of secondary effect depending on the element. Yeah. So all the rules, the base concept of the rules all fit on the board. The rules are only like 2-3 pages long. They're super simple rules, but there's a lot of complexity within the game.
I see. So that's a very different product than the first one.
Exactly.
Yeah. And I think you have one more, right? You have one more product.
We have 30 more. we have a ton of games that are in various stages from concept to
Oh,
completion.
okay. I see.
And we have, I'd say, probably 2 or 3 more that we just decided to have the money. We could probably publish them tomorrow. So we're close on a couple of new projects. The one that will be next is actually a result of the Kickstarter from Unsung Heroes 2, which is over here behind me. One of the options we gave on Unsung Heroes 2 in an effort to raise funds quicker was we gave this patron level option where if you gave us, I forget what it was, $400 or $500, we would design a character for you and you can use it in the Unsung Heroes world. And we would work with you to decide what that character looked like and
Oh, interesting.
what
Okay.
their abilities were, right? We tried to
Yeah.
get that engagement with our customers. And we put a little note on there. We said, if 4 of you actually do this, we will develop Unsung Heroes 3, make it a trilogy, and put your 4 characters as the characters in the game. Everyone can have them. And
see.
within 24 hours, all 4 of those were snatched up. People wanted to be able to have involvement in the project. And we
Okay,
actually
that's an interesting way to do
yeah.
it. Yeah.
Yeah, we had 2 or 3 people actually that wanted to do it, but we ran out of slots. Like, we only offered it to 4 people. So,
Okay.
yeah, we've had several people come to us since then and say, "Hey, if you ever do something like that again, let me know. I'd love to be able to have a character of mine in your game or be able to
Yeah.
have some input into one of these games." So, it was a very successful way of raising additional funds through Kickstarter so that we didn't need as many people to back the project because we had a higher per
Higher
back.
tier.
Yeah.
Okay, okay. How much is that tier where you structure it?
So the games themselves, we tier it at I think about retail. So like, for example, Unsung Heroes was $35 for the game.
Yeah.
So you could pay, I think it was $30 or $35 and just buy the game. But then we would offer different incentives, like you can add on, a special art card that you can only get through this, for $10, or you can get, if you're trying to back Unsung Heroes 2, but you don't have Unsung Heroes 1, you can add Unsung Heroes 1 on as an add-on.
Okay.
Then I think it was 400 was the patron tier where we let you create a character. And I think like for 50 or 60 extra bucks, we let you design one of the treasures in the card.
Oh,
We
okay.
had 1 or 2 people do that as well. So there's really only 2 tiers. There's the game
Yeah.
and a patron, but there are a bunch of different add-ons that you could have selected to get involved with the project at their various levels.
I see. And what kind of marketing were you doing to promote the campaign back then?
A lot of social media. We went to a lot of conventions. We only had it for 60 days, whatever, but I think we went to like 3 conventions in 60 days. We did Twitter and we did Facebook social media stuff. Neither of the partners are real big on social media. So I tried my hand at it. We got a few people in. We have since hired someone to kind of manage our social media accounts for us because again, it's not really our bag. So
I see. I think a lot of the publisher I talk to is obviously it's good to have a successful Kickstarter campaign, but what happened after Kickstarter is a lot of people struggle. It's like, how do I keep on growing the company, growing the exposure, the visibility? Now the Kickstarter is finished. Like, what do I do? Like, as far as for your brand, what is your ongoing marketing that you're doing right now to still continue promoting the product and kind of get your product and the game out there to the potential customer?
Yeah, that's a great question. So there's a couple of hiccups, and I know a lot of other people in the industry feel this, and so I want to say this out loud so they know they're not alone. Getting into distribution is very difficult.
Yeah.
Very difficult. And I understand why, right? So these distributors only have so much space that they can allocate. And if you are an unknown product, you're probably not worth the risk to them to store a bunch of product in, right? So I understand that, and that makes it really difficult to crack into the business unless you are one of the companies that's already in, right? It makes getting to that tier very difficult. A lot of our success is because of word of mouth. It's because if the girlfriend and I take a vacation, I grab a handful of games with me, and while we're out, I will stop by a game store and see if they'd be interested in carrying the game. There's a lot of what Tom calls grit, where it's just, sometimes you're going to take a 24-hour business trip and go find 5 different stores and 2 of them won't even be open, right? But because you don't have access to distribution, going door to door is really the best way to get your product into physical locations. Now, we have, like I said, a social media account. We have a web store on our website, right? We tried Amazon, but had a very negative experience with Amazon. So we scaled back from Amazon. But I'll get it directly from us, right? Our approach as a company is we would prefer you go to your local game store, right? because to us, they're kind of our business partners, right? They're the ones that can advocate for our games and what we're trying to accomplish better than any website ever will. So if it was like, hey, Michael, we would love to get a copy of your game, you can order it direct from me, and that's fine. It would be even cooler if you went to your local game store and said, go check these guys out and carry their product.
I see. But how about digital marketing? What kind of digital marketing are you doing right now besides social media posting?
None. We aren't doing any digital marketing at the moment. That is something that we don't have a lot in the coffers right now in terms of money. Some of our projects have been put on hold due to tariffs and economic conditions throughout the globe.
Yeah.
So we're kind of using this time to build up a little bit, right? And so that way we can do another campaign, we can do marketing for it, we can do a big push when the time is right.
I see. Got it. So I know you mentioned you have a lot of like 30 games in the pipeline. How do you prioritize which one to develop and which one to work on next and which one to publish next? Like out of all these things you have in the pipeline?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I guess just from concept to completion or concept to prototype, even ideas happen, I think is the best way to describe it. So whether it's myself or Tom or Paulina, when something happens, we're like, that'd be kind of fun to create that into a game. Or, hey, I have this idea. We have a Discord. We just have a little chat channel. And one of the channels in this Discord is called Crazy Ideas. We throw something in there. And then when we get together, one of the things we do is we go through these and go, hey, you posted this in here. What's this about? And if we can develop that idea, then it gets its own little channel. And then we can take those ideas and move it to that channel so we can kind of compartmentalize these ideas. Once we've kind of captured them, we don't immediately act on them. We kind of let them marinate, right? When you have as many ideas as we do, you're not rushed, right? We have a ton of content. And, with 30 games, even if we came out with a game every 6 months, we have enough in our pipeline right now to last us the next 15 years, right? So we have plenty of content to work on. So we let these ideas marinate a little bit and then we come back to them. And when we start looking at what interests us, we'll pick 3 or 4 or 5 at a time and we'll start building these up in various stages. Eventually, after a lot of playtesting, we might even create a prototype. And the prototype are the ones that when we're like, hey, we think we're close to having this game ready. Then there's, well, what do you do next, right? Like once you have all these ideas and you kind of narrowed it down to these few, then how do you know which one to pick? And for that, believe it or not, we didn't get to decide. We let our customers decide. So what we did is while we were campaigning for Unsung Heroes 2, we actually were at a convention and we had built multiple prototypes for games.
Okay.
And we just laid them out. And we're just like, here's what we're working on now. Like, here's the games we have now. Here's what we're working on right now. But these are all games in the pipeline. If you're interested, give us feedback on
which one they interested.
Which one
that's
interested the most.
Yeah.
And originally, Hexed was supposed to be our 6th game.
Okay.
In our minds, like we kind of had them listed out. We're like, Hex is probably 6, which is funny because it's Hex, right? Hex, like 6. Right?
Yeah.
And so when we started making our first game and our second game, like in the instructions of our first game here, we have the little symbol that I showed you earlier, right down here on the bottom of the page.
Yeah.
Slid that into the instructions as like a kind of an Easter egg of, hey, eventually that's going to come into play somewhere. And it was Hexed.
Yeah.
And we were starting to plant these Easter eggs about Hexed early on. But it got pushed to 3rd because the demand for it was just overwhelming compared to the other IPs that we were offering. So we said, well, we should probably listen to what people want. If they're saying Hex should be next, then Hex should be next. So we ended up letting our customers and our fans decide what the next step is.
I see. Yeah, that's an excellent way to kind of decide which one to roll out just by talking to the customer directly. I mean, they vote with their wallet pretty much.
Exactly.
So, and I know with game design, I feel like maybe mass and balance are also huge, like as far as making sure the game itself is balanced enough. How do you approach when you come to designing so many different games over the years on make sure the game's balanced in a way? What are some of the different aspects you look at?
Yeah, so there's a lot of probability and statistics, especially when you're dealing with dice, right?
Yeah.
When we were discussing how to balance the game, and first of all, I got a major props to Tom and Paulina because between the two of them, they are either a finance professional or an engineer. And so there's a lot of math that gets thrown around. And I'm decent with numbers, but I'm not engineer and finance good with numbers. So they handle a lot of the math. And we discovered there are little tricks you can do to help balance the math because it can be rather daunting, especially if you're not an engineer or a finance professional, right? And what we discovered is that you can compartmentalize the math. And what I mean by that is, like, for example, in Unsung Heroes, right, we have a deck of cards for your character. And
Yeah.
there's 15 cards in this deck. Now, 10 of them have like this peach colored background.
Yeah.
And 5 of them are going to have the character's color background. So Wanda's purple.
Okay.
This card's only found in Wanda's deck, right?
Okay.
You won't see this card in any other deck. The peach colored card is going to be in every deck. And so if you take these 10 cards that have the peach colored and you give them to everybody, it's balanced, right? Everyone has the same tools, right? It's kind of like Monopoly in that regard, right? Where Monopoly technically is fair because everyone starts with the same amount of money in the same spot with the same possibilities.
Yeah.
Right? Just through random and everything else, things happen. Well, in game design, you can compartmentalize that. So instead of having to worry about balancing 15 cards for 4 different characters, we just have to balance 5.
Mhm.
And that becomes a lot more manageable to handle, right? There's the law of averages, right? So if you roll, like for Wanda here, you get to roll 2 6-sided dice, the red squares. The
Yeah.
average of 2d6, 2 6-sided dice is 7. So this card would be worth 7 points. Now, maybe you roll an 11, maybe you roll a 2, but the average is going to be 7. So that card's worth 7 points. And you're able to break down a card's value. And as long as those values are even, right, you've done what you can do for controlling. If you have any sort of random element in something, you're not going to have a complete 100% balance, but you can get pretty close by breaking down where the differences are going to be. There's treasures involved in the game where you can get really strong power-ups to fight the boss with. Those treasures, some of them are better in the hands of Wanda, but some of them aren't. There's some that she probably wouldn't want as much. Right. And so even though that happens, all the treasures are worth about the same power level, right? Like they give you about the same benefit. So really, when you get an option of treasures, you're really trying to figure out what's best for my character to take, which is more of a strategic thing and not a balance thing. So even though those cards are really strong, they're all roughly the same in terms of value and power. So they're balanced and everyone has the opportunity to get them. So there's balance there as well.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you so much for sharing that. And looking ahead here, like I know in 2025, a lot of things changing in the industry. How are you seeing the board game industry as a whole evolving, and what are some of your vision for your company in the upcoming years?
Yeah, I don't have a crystal ball. And if you had told me 20 years ago, this is the industry would be where it's at right now, I don't know if I would have believed you. I can see a few different ways the industry goes. I can picture, especially with the global economy, I can picture companies shifting towards more of a print on demand style, like you see where you can like publish a novel on Amazon and have it just print on demand, where you don't have to have a stack of books in your house you're trying to sell out of the back of your trunk anymore. Like I can see game design going that route where it's like, hey, if you enjoy this game, buy it. They'll print one and send it to you, right? I think some things would have to happen. Like, for example, dice don't get manufactured in the United States, even though the United States is a massive consumer for board games, but there are no dice manufacturers anywhere in the United States, at least as of a couple of years ago, right? So I can see like there are steps that would have to be taken to accommodate, but I could absolutely see a kind of a print on demand. I also could see with the influx of game design companies such as us, where manufacturers are going to lower their MOQs, which for those that haven't produced before is minimum order quantity. So basically, when you go to produce your game, you have to produce a certain number of them before they'll even look at you. More often than not, that number is 500. I can see that coming down. I can see a 200, 250. I can see smaller print runs being done. And I could also see the other thing I could possibly envision is something like a tabletop simulator, which exists where you can play board games online with your friends and stuff. I can even see something in the future where if you buy a board game, it'll come with like a QR code where you can scan it and upload the game to your tabletop simulator. So you have a digital version of your board game that comes with the board game. So I could see any of those possibly, or all of those possibly happening in the future.
I think a lot of things you mentioned is already happening, just not at the scale. For example, I know Game Crafter kind of do a print on demand, even so their cost is a bit higher, but they're kind of already trying to do that in the industry a little bit.
That's already starting to happen a little bit. And I can see that in 10 years being a real big thing.
I see. Okay. Thank you so much for sharing that. And as we're kind of wrapping up today's interview here, if you had to share just one piece of advice with someone that's getting started within the toys and game industry, what would that be?
I'll give you the advice in a very quick story. We were at a convention and we were demoing Unsung Heroes, and a gentleman sat down with us who had been in the board game industry for decades with a very prominent board game designer, and had basically told us, hey, you guys are doing very well. You're on the right path. You have the right mindset. Keep doing what you're doing. Keep building your brand. But he made a real, almost philosophical comment that I hold to my heart to this day.
Okay.
And it was, he said, about at this local convention we were at, about 200 feet down the hallway, there was this a room where people could take prototypes of the games they were designing and get people to actually play test them and try them out.
Okay.
And he said, you're only 200 feet away from the playtest hall, but you're worlds apart, right? The gap between that room and where you sit now is incredibly wide. And of the 100 games going on in there, maybe one or two get printed. And he said, you should take solace in knowing that. And I thought the only difference between us and them is that we did it. And realistically. And so that would be my advice is if you have an idea, do it. It's 100% worth it. It's scary at first, but once you take the initial plunge, this is one of the greatest adventures I've ever been on. It's been totally worth it. And the amount of conversations and the amount of networking and the amount of people I know because I said, oh, I actually design board games. People go, wait, what? And I've met all sorts of great people and had an amazing last 4 or 5 years. I highly recommend it. It's been worth every penny. And if I don't make or sell another game, it was still worth it.
I see. Thank you so much for sharing. And for our audience that's interested to learn a little bit more about you and your company, where's the best place for people to find you online?
Yeah, so our website is tonedeafbards.com. You can find everything you want to know about us and our games and our motto and our vision for gaming now and in the future. We are on Facebook and Twitter, but again, I'm not really active on that, but we are on Facebook and Twitter, and I believe we're on Instagram as well.
Okay, thank you so much for sharing that. We'll make sure we put that in the show note. And thank you so much for your time today, sharing your journey, your wisdom, and your knowledge within the toys and game industry.
I appreciate you guys having me on here. It's been great.
Yeah, and thank you for our audience for tuning in to this episode of Toy Business Unboxed podcast. We hope you have enjoyed today's conversation and find it insightful and inspiring. If you like what you have heard, be sure to subscribe to our podcast on your favorite platform so you never miss an episode. We really appreciate your support and would love it if you can leave us a review and share the podcast with your friend and colleague. For more resource tips and the latest update within the toys and game industry, visit our website at toy-launch.com, and you can join the conversation and join our free Facebook group, Toy Games Launch Pack. You can find us on Facebook, or you can go to toy-launch.com/group to find our Facebook group. And we'd love to hear your feedback and suggestions so we can all share with each other within the industry. Until next time, keep innovating, keep creating, keep bringing joy to toys. This is Jason Hsieh signing off on the Toy Business Unboxed podcast. We'll see you in the next episode. Thank you so much, everyone.